snail mail. Here we go. From Jason Jeffers, Huntsville, Tennessee, long ways from Roseburg. So Jason pulled off something that we have been told couldn't be done. He made the coolest decals. And he says, and this is very reassuring, he says, I look forward to watching the spec house go up. By the way, no eye or ear protection required to apply these decals. That's awesome. And just telling you, somehow he made a decal that the decal companies we've been talking to said couldn't be made because of the thickness of the line. So, Jason, evidence of craftsmanship. Salute, man, and thanks. Let's see if I can make this thing go up on the side of the old filing cabinet. If you feel like letting me know how you did that, like I'd like to have a lot of those, okay? That's awesome. Thank you very much. All right, now here's another one that's very flattering. See this? Practical engineering. Love the channel, it says on the back. Grady. I've got to assume that most of you have already discovered this channel because most of you have an interest in things structural and crafty and building and buildable and fixing. So this guy makes engineering comprehensible. He's able to describe dynamics and forces and moments and engineering terms in terms that you and I can understand. And you know, I watch myself trying to describe the engineering components of my spec house thing, and I think, man, what right do I have to even talk about that? I'm a carpenter and a blacksmith. This guy's qualified. If you want to know what engineering really boils down to and understand it in a way that you might be able to explain it to someone else, he's your man. Rowley, 1639, Rowley Police, Old Nancy. I got the coolest email from Jesse Mazzy, Hawthorne, Massachusetts. And the story that's associated with this is he saw our Canon video, the Canon that Cy made, Revolutionary War era looking, and he saw how closely it matched the Canon that is on his police department's patch, which is called Old Nancy, and it sits in the town square. And the story behind Old Nancy, if I remember right, is that it was captured by the Marblehead Fleet, the British supply ship. The supply ship was the Nancy, and it was full of armaments, cannons and ammunition and powder. What a score for the Revolutionary Army. The cannon, which was on a naval, sort of a naval carriage, was put on a field carriage sometime in the past and now sits in the town square, and it looks about like that, which is very similar to the way that Cy's cannon looks. And there's a patch for Cy and for myself. Now, Cy was just here 5 minutes ago, and I forgot to give this to him, but Jesse, I'm getting it to him. Okay, this is going to him, and this one is going right over here. I wonder which one of my grandsons will try to take that down first. Thanks, Jesse. So this is from Cedar Park, Texas, and I open it up, and it's got this note. I'm going to read it to you because I love it when young people are engaged with my channel. Frankly, that was an unintended consequence, but it's become a real driver for me in this whole deal. And this says, hello, Scott. My name is Robbie. I'm 16 years old, and I live just outside of Austin, Texas. My dad is a carpenter, and I've been working with him on the job site for as long as I can remember. So remember it, son, because a time will come when your fondest memories of your father will be the memories that you make on that job site. Over the years, I've learned to love the trade, and soon enough, I'll be a carpenter myself. I'd just like to say that you are by far my favorite, blah, 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 keep up the great content. You haven't had a bad video yet, and I can't wait until you start framing the spec house. I can't wait either, man. I mean, I'm getting tired of being down in the dirt, but I've got a ways to go with the foundation. A shout out from my dad's company would be much appreciated. O'Meara Carpentry, just outside Austin, Texas. Give them a try, guys. Using my green beetle knife. It is remarkably appropriate that I use this green beetle knife, which consists of nails and 1084. Let me repeat that, nails and 1084. Because inside here, we're going to get a look at a tool bag. There's a fellow that's trying his hand at developing a line of tool bags and marketing them, and he said he would like me to give one a test flight. I told him I didn't shout out stuff that I couldn't swear by, so I can't swear by this yet. But here's what I can swear by. Anybody who has courage and ambition enough to try to develop their own line of really husky, really husky carpentry bags, tape holder, hammer loop. So I can't speak yet for how this is configured, but I can tell you this, you made this thing to last, and I will give it a test flight. I'll let you know what I think, how the layout works, how the orientation of the bag is, the size of the bag. Enclose, yeah, okay, so I've got an idea. When I was in Las Vegas and I was stacking roofs, building stairs, doing layout and stacking roofs in the tracts, I was going through a lot of gun nails, and gun nails kind of hang in your bags awkwardly, and I was using a more generic bag than the Occidentals at that time. And I got fed up, so I designed a little bag specifically made to hold 7-inch racks of gun nails. And I told him I would send him some drawings of it, because anybody who can make this could certainly make that. And it might be something that he would want to add to his lineup. So Patrick sent me this bag. And we had conversation, because I typically don't do tool reviews of anything that I don't have years of experience with. I guess you figured that out. And when I review a tool, it's because I've used it enough to tell you what its real world, what my real world experience with that particular tool has been for a long time. Patrick, I'll get the pattern coming back to you. I'll give these a test flight, let you know what I think, but I'll say this, they look darn good. Keep it up, man. So this last item did not come in the mail. I got an email last spring from a viewer, Joel, up near Portland, and the email was, man, I saw your Hey Budden Anvil video, and I went out and I looked at this anvil that had been in my family a long time, and it's a Hey Budden, and it's got some issues, and then I saw that you fixed that Trenton anvil, and I'm wondering if you can repair mine. I said, sure, bring it down. So he brought it down last spring, and I told him I would probably get to it in November, and now November is about done, and so hang in there, Joel. I mean, you're next. The top is flat, you know, and nobody can resent this. I mean, that's from a hammer blow. So what? That's from a hammer blow. So what? But this right here is not from a hammer blow. That's from an air arc or a scarfing tip on a cutting torch. And look at this. Somebody got into that with a plasma cutter or something. I mean, I don't know what else it could have been. So this is just a great example of somebody realizing that they've got something awesome in the downstairs, in the garage, in the basement, out in the back of the barn, I mean, wherever it was, and then realizing that it had been in his family a long time. I think he said his grandfather had it. So we're going to get this fixed. It's going to look nice. It's going to look very presentable. It's going to be fully functional. The neat thing about this, when this is done, it's going to look even more handsome than it looks right now. And you got to admit, that's handsome, okay? And it's going to be practical. If he wants to forge something, it's going to be sitting there ready to work. And if he wants to talk to somebody about his dad or his granddad or what possible use this may have, benefit this may have been to his family, I mean, it's going to be there for a long time. And I don't know, maybe you've got something like this, or maybe your uncle does, or maybe, I don't know, or maybe you'll find someone who has something like this. I'm glad to be part of this. Now, I'm not going to do this all the time for every anvil that I come across, but it's nice to be involved with these things from time to time.
So that anvil was given to me by my grandfather just before he passed away. He was living just outside of Fresno, California. One of my visits there about 2 years ago, I saw the anvil. I'd had my eye on another tool that he'd had, but he'd been kind of snuck this anvil off to the side a little bit. I hadn't really noticed it, and I passed it on one of my visits, and I talked to him. Hey, Grandpa, that any chance I could get that anvil or make a deal with you on the anvil? And he's like, son, after I'm gone, it's yours.
How about that?
1898.
He got from his grandfather a 119-year-old anvil.